Welcome! Today we will be looking at some teaching techniques that can be used to teach standards relating to the environmental and social issues facing Africa. The standards addressed today include Grade 7, Geography 2, which asks students to explain environmental issues across Africa. Specifically, students will examine water issues, including pollution and unequal access to water, and how it affects irrigation, trade, industry, and drinking water. The relationship between poor soil and deforestation are also addressed as part of this standard. The second standard examined will be the Civics and Government Standard number 2. This standard explores how government instability affects access to education and the distribution of food and medicine. Some teaching techniques that can be used to teach these standards include literature, a novel study on the book A Long Walk to Water. Tied to this is the web resource for the organization Water for South Sudan. We will also examine a web quest focused on the website Our Africa. Today we will take some time to look at each of these in detail. First, let's look at the novel A Long Walk to Water, based on a true story. This novel was written by Linda Sue Park based on the real-life remembrances of Salva Dude. This novel follows two children in the land that is now South Sudan. Naya, the young girl, tells her story of walking to collect water for her family. The reader can see some of the challenges that she faces as she spends her entire day making 2 trips to the pond where she collects water for her family. Paralleled with Naya's story is the story of a young boy, Salva. Salva is a young boy at school when the Sudanese Civil War reaches his village. He is forced into the bush for a long walk to find a safe place. In fact, throughout the story, he walks from Sudan to Ethiopia and on to Kenya. Salva is one of the lost boys of Sudan. He faces many challenges on his way, including hunger, death, soldiers, and wild animals. I'm going to play spoiler and tell you the end of the story. Ultimately, Salva makes his way to the United States. Here he works to do something for his native country. He creates a nonprofit, Water for Sudan, now called Water for South Sudan, which digs wells for villages in Sudan. In the last chapter, the reader discovers that one of the wells being dug by this organization is in Naya's village, which brings our characters together. The book ends with Naya's village clearing land for a school, because now the children will not have to spend their time walking for water. They will be able to attend school. This novel touches on many elements of the standards, including access to water, access to education, and the role that government has played. This novel can be read individually, read aloud, or as part of literature circles. This novel does lend itself well to literature circles because there are several activities that can be completed while reading. Chapters can be assigned 2 at a time. One chapter will be about Naya, and one will be about Salva. These charts could be completed as students read. This will help students organize their thoughts and make connections between the characters. After reading the entire novel, here is an extended writing prompt that students can complete independently. It requires students to write 2 short paragraphs. The first paragraph is a summary from one situation in the book. The second paragraph is more introspective. It has students apply the principle from the book, one step at a time, to their own life. This writing can elicit some meaningful writings. Another resource to use after concluding this novel is the website for the nonprofit Water for South Sudan. This website has many resources that are helpful in the classroom. So let's look at the website waterforsouthsudan.org. First, let's look under the Teacher and Students header. At the bottom is a set of resources for educators. Here, there are several useful resources. One of these is the text-based activities based on the book A Long Walk to Water. There is a link to many lesson activities about the novel. Let's click here on Other Text. This will give you options for other readings and other resources that you can use in addition to the book A Long Walk to Water. One thing to look at here is the brief history of South Sudan. This is going to give you a resource, a timeline, that shows you the different things that have happened in South Sudan. Let's go back to the top. Another place that's very helpful is the What We Do. In the What We Do category, there is useful information about water issues with short videos that can be used in the classroom. For instance, under the Need, you can find facts and videos about the need for water and what some people in Africa do to collect water. Information and videos. Back at the top, also under What We Do, you can see how Water for South Sudan transforms lives. Here, there's information about empowering and growing communities. One of the videos at the bottom is extremely helpful in the classroom, as it tells you how the different water projects have influenced education in the country. Back at the top, also under the What We Do category, there is the Just Add Water documentary. This documentary is about 17 minutes, and it follows Salvador on his mission to bring clean water to South Sudan. Although this website and novel focuses on South Sudan, it is important for students to realize that these issues are not limited to South Sudan, but can be found in many places around Africa. As always, make sure you preview all materials before using them in the classroom. Another web-based resource that could be extremely helpful in this and other teaching units is the website OurAfrica.Org. Let's look at the website OurAfrica.Org. Quoting from the footer of this website, the Our Africa website is an evolving collection of videos of the life in Africa, as seen through the eyes of young people across the African continent. Our Africa lets children film their lives and countries the way they see it. The site, A Child's Eye View, is compiled by the orphan charity SOS Children. Although this website does provide videos of children from many countries, at the beginning of this filming there's information for 26 African countries, although more information is continually added. There's also several ways to access an abundant amount of information on this website. First, you can use the map to choose a country. Let's click on Kenya to start. If you click on Kenya, it will take you to a page with lots of options to learn more about the country. In the center is a video made by a child in the country. Surrounding this, each box takes you to a page with more information about different topics. Here you can find information and facts about poverty, healthcare, food and daily life, and so on. Let's look at poverty and healthcare. Here you can find information to read, as well as videos to support the topic. Let's go back. Every link here will take you to a similar page. For instance, the Climate and Agriculture page will give you information about the geography of the country. Moving down, you can also find out information about how deforestation affects the country. Another way to access information is by the topic instead of by country. At the bottom of the page, you can see topics available: agriculture and famine, children, climate, development, foods, games and sport, geography and wildlife, health, history, poverty, and women. Since our standards today focused on famine, let's look at agriculture and famine. Here there is information, pictures, and videos about the food supply in Africa and what is being done to try to decrease hunger in Africa. Let's choose one more topic to examine. Let's choose health. Here there is information about different health issues facing Africa, including HIV/AIDS, malaria, and polio. Then there is a focus on issues related to health care, such as different care depending on where you live, the money that is spent on health care, and the lack of health care workers. Another resource of this page is the lesson plans. Here you can find options for lessons. Let's look at the Choose Your Topic. This will give you some ideas of topics. We're going to go back up and look at the Climate and Agriculture page. Each scenario here gives students a writing prompt to consider and then gives resources from our Africa website to use to answer the question. As you can see, there are a multitude of prompts that you can choose from. Let's look at the deforestation in Kenya as an example. The standards that you see are British standards. The areas that will be helpful to you are where to go and what to watch. This is where the students can find information to use in forming an answer to the question. Now that you have seen the large amount of resources available on this website, I hope that you see ways to incorporate it into your classroom. A simple web quest would ask students to write facts about the challenges that face Africa. Here is an example of an organization table to help students. Ultimately, students should approach the web quest and their time on the website to answer this question. What is the biggest issue facing Africa today? Justify your answer with specifics. As we conclude, remember to include a variety of activities in your unit to meet different learning styles and needs. Feel free to use or modify these activities to meet your teaching style and students. Good luck to you as you plan your upcoming Africa unit.